how's it going, everybody? It's Young here with a quick Death Stranding discussion video. So I've already made a couple of videos regarding the new trailer that came out on Game Awards 2016, and I have pointed out a few things here and there, but something that I haven't talked about is this logo image of the Decima game engine. It might hold some minor hints regarding Kojima's new game, so I'm gonna go ahead and provide a mini analysis of sorts of this image. The first thing I would like to point out is the font used for the word Decima. I can tell you right now that it's the same one used for Death Stranding's title. You can see for yourself if you compare the letters. What this tells me is that despite being Guerrilla's engine, the aesthetics of Decima's logo and background image may hold some relevant information regarding Kojima's new game, possibly some new hints or hidden clues somewhere in there. Let's start by analyzing the name itself, Decima. Something that I discussed in a previous video is that Decima is the Roman name of one of the Fates from Greek mythology. The Fates, or the Moirae, essentially consist of three entities: Clotho, who spins an individual's thread of life using her distaff and spindle; Lachesis, who measures that thread of life with her measuring rod; and Atropo, who cuts the thread of life of an individual when the time of their death comes. You may best know the Fates from the Disney movie Hercules. Decima is the Roman equivalent of Lachesis, the measurer of life. So what I mentioned in one of my previous videos was that naming Death Stranding's engine after an entity who measures the thread of life and death is appropriate, considering that the game deals in themes such as strands that connect us all together. And what connects all living things more than the fact that we all die in the end? Kojima also revealed during PSX 2016 that the name Decima, or Decima in Japanese, also derives from the name of an artificial island that Japan built in 1634 during the Edo period to act as a trading post. This was a time in Japanese history when the country was self-imposed in an isolationist philosophy, so the Decima trading post was special in that it acted as the only place through which Japan could trade with the outside world. The outpost was originally built to house Portuguese traders, but from 1641 to 1853, Decima was used by the Dutch as a trading post. What this is meant to symbolize is that in the same manner that Japan and Netherlands traded goods on the Decima island for nearly 2 decades, the Japanese game studio Kojima Productions and the Dutch game studio Guerrilla Games will be trading technology through the Decima or Decima game engine for many years to come. A pretty cool bit of historical significance and connection there. Let's now move on to the logo itself, which at first sight looks to be like an upside-down standby symbol, like the ones you'd find on a laptop or a computer. It also kind of reminds me of Decima itself. Notice how the trading post has a little bridge that connects from the mainland to the island proper. So perhaps the red line in the logo represents the bridge, while the white circle it connects to represents the island of Decima. This also kind of ties into Death Stranding's theme of strands that connect us. In the case of Japan back in the Edo period, Decima acted as a strand that allowed Japan to connect with other nations, so there's a significance there. One last thing I noticed about the logo is that it kind of looks like a handcuff. It's somewhat reminiscent of the handcuffs worn by both Norman and Guillermo's characters. And this kind of makes sense when you think about what Kojima said before about how humans' first inventions were the stick and the rope, the former meant to keep away harmful things, and the latter meant to keep things of value close. And one could argue that the handcuffs seen in the trailers are a form of the rope. So perhaps the Decima engine's logo was purposely made to look like a handcuff to reference that rope motif. Another way of looking at it could be that the red line represents the stick, while the white loop represents the rope. I may be reaching, and maybe this theory sounds kinda silly, but I feel like Kojima has emphasized the stick and the rope enough that it wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume that he'd represent them somehow in the logo of Death Stranding's engine. It'd be a very Kojima thing to do, at least. The last thing I would like to analyze about this image is the background, which some of you may find familiar if you've been keeping up with my videos. If you recall, one of the theories that I presented about the first Death Stranding trailer was that the setting might be Iceland. This was based on the fact that the trailer showed a black sand beach that is quite reminiscent to one that can be found in real life on the southernmost tip of Iceland in a village called Vík. Sorry to the Icelandic people if I butchered that pronunciation. Now, it's not as if Iceland is the only country that is home to black sand beaches. There are numerous of them scattered all throughout the world. But the reason the first trailer setting was narrowed down to Iceland, visual similarities aside, was because Kojima not only visited Iceland a couple years ago, he also decided to use a song by an Icelandic band as the trailer's background music, I'll Keep Coming by Low Roar. For many, this just seemed like too much of a coincidence, but admittedly, the evidence was still circumstantial at best. This is where the Decima engine's logo's background image comes in. I can tell you right now for a fact that the image in question is in fact none other than the very same black sand beach found in the Icelandic village of Vík. Just doing a simple Google search of the village and its black sand beach will yield images such as these, which feature the exact same rock formations seen in the background image of the Decima logo. This makes me wonder, is Kojima further hinting that the black sand beach seen in the first trailer is indeed based on the Icelandic village Vík? At the very least, is Kojima hinting that Iceland will be one of the game's settings? It's looking like a possibility from where I'm sitting. Let's also not forget that Kojima released an alternate version of the Game Awards 2016 trailer during PSX 2016 that featured another song by Icelandic band Low Roar called Easy Way Out. It's starting to feel like Kojima is very deliberately and continuously pushing Icelandic elements our way, as if maybe trying to tell us something. One last thing I would like to point out is that, and this is for those who are wondering if Iceland exists in Death Stranding's bizarre world, the new trailer from Game Awards 2016 proved that Death Stranding will be pseudo-historical, meaning that it'll be based on our real world, but it will also add its own fictional twist to everything, which is much like Metal Gear. This was indicated by things like the pin on Guillermo del Toro's character, which is labeled United Cities of America and features a logo shaped like a map of America, as it is in our real world. So if a version of America exists in Death Stranding, then surely it's possible that a version of Iceland exists as well. And that's about all the details that I could manage to extract from Decima Engine's logo image. So with that, I would like to end this mini analysis. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the Decima logo image, and if you have any theories you'd like to share with us. And to be further updated on all things Death Stranding, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.